Now, from the point of view of the government, what's the fear or the risk there? Can you spend some words on that?
The first fear on the part of the government is that through a process of disengagement and redeployment, we're standing back from the enemy, redeployment, we're going even further, so that there's a lower risk of hostilities. One of the consequences is that we can't protect our country. We have a statutory constitutional obligation. We are the government, we are the state, and we want to protect our people. Now, of course, the rebels are going to say, but you don't protect the people, you're terrorists. The government thinks the rebels are terrorists. So you have this dilemma, and it's the job of the mediators to help resolve that. But from the government's point of view, you will always hear that argument. The rebels must disarm, but we can't disarm because we're the government. We have to protect the people. And the situation is complicated further if that government or state has relations of enmity, hostilities or potential hostilities with a neighbouring state. Because then the government wants to keep heavy weaponry in the anticipation of a possible war with a neighbouring state. That creates a huge dilemma. And I'll illustrate it with a practical example. In Darfur, the rebels want government military aircraft decommissioned for the duration of the cessation of hostilities because the rebels can't defend themselves against an air attack. Typically what do rebels do? They move around in small groups at night or very mobile. They don't move around in large formations as a conventional army does. But if they're confined to assembly areas during a ceasefire, they're very vulnerable to government bombing. And the government of Sudan has indeed bombed villages where it's believed that rebels are present. On the one hand. On the other hand, the government of Sudan is potentially at war with the government of Chad, one of its neighbours. And there's tremendous hostility, and each of those countries is interfering in the others' domestic unrest. So the government of Sudan says, while we're attempting to negotiate a peace agreement for Darfur, this is 2005, 2006 in Abuja in Nigeria, the government says we need the aircraft in case there are hostilities with Chad. And this becomes a not insoluble problem, but an extremely difficult problem to resolve. What's the job of the mediator? Help the parties solve this problem through negotiations to their mutual satisfaction. And typically, the mediators in this kind of scenario would bring in technical experts who have familiarity with ceasefire arrangements in various parts of the world, who don't come into the mediation to say, this is what you should do in Darfur. The parties have to work that out. What the experts do is say, well, in Guatemala, and in El Salvador, and in Namibia, and in Mozambique, these different things were done. And that empowers the mediator and the parties to determine options that are most appropriate for that situation.